Hey Eva, I'd just like to make a video response to this video. It's very interesting, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your life here on YouTube, especially something like that many Americans have not had to go through thus yet. Um, I do know what war is, not quite in the same way you did. I was actually in Afghanistan early on after 9/11. And yeah, it's not fun at all. There's nothing fun about war. Now, at that time, I felt very patriotic. I mean, we had just been attacked, and um, I felt to give my life, because I was a little bit upset. At the same time, just like you said, when you were talking about, things were on TV, it does seem surreal when you're watching it on TV. But I think what angered me the most is I just didn't understand. I didn't understand what motivated people to do what they did. Um, I was in the Middle East, and some of the other I was in Oman, and I was in Qatar, and those people were good people. A lot of those people over there in those countries were really good people. Uh, made some friends over there, but it's hard because the same way as, like you said, people will paint the United States with a broad brush, people paint people in other countries with a broad brush as well. Um, right after 9/11, and those planes hit the buildings, I mean, I was furious with all the people celebrating, in those countries. Now, granted, the media shows you, just opens a window for you to see that little bit, and people just jump to the conclusion that everybody supports that. Anyway, I want to get back to what you were saying about your experience. I think people who are always behind war, and I'm talking about the common person, are the people who don't have to go there and actually fight it. When I see someone so strongly supporting, and they always have buzzwords like, well, if you're not for the war, then you're not supporting the troops. Then somehow you're not supporting the troops, which I think is a bunch of garbage. Or if you're not supporting the war, somehow you're less of an American, or you're less patriotic, which is garbage. People have to realize that when you disagree with something, that is part of being an American. Voicing your opinion, standing up when you think something is not right. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked. I have all these thoughts and emotions, but listening to you talk about what you had to go through as a kid, and you didn't really, like you said, you had a good time, because you were young and you didn't understand what was going on. A lot of people have not had to go through that in our country. 9/11 was just maybe on a small scale. That was something close. Um, so, gathering my thoughts here. I don't quite have the editing tool here. Just like I see some people do. Um, But no, I was really touched by your video, really interested, and I wouldn't mind learning more about that, learning more about, um, what happened in Yugoslavia during the war, during the breakup in Croatia, because it's fascinating to me. I've never actually talked to someone who has gone through something like that, and it's very interesting. I'm very interested in those type of things, seeing, putting a human face. Because I remember when all that was taking place. I definitely remember that, and didn't really understand it. Didn't know what was going on. Didn't know why a country would want to break up. Maybe I'm just naive. It's hard for, at least me. I'm not gonna speak for all of my people in this country, but it's hard for me to understand that, say, just for instance, one day the United States starts disintegrating into, and then next thing Texas, they'd be the first one, I'm sure, would want to secede and be their own country, and then a few states over here want to be their own country, and so they start fighting for their independence from these other states. It's really hard because I feel like we're all one people. I mean, I know everybody's from someplace different. That for the most part here in this country, we're from different parts of the world, but I feel like we're all one country. So it's really hard for me to understand after being, Yugoslavia being one country, how that separation happened. If you can elaborate a little bit on that, that would really be interesting to me. Coming from someone who actually lives there and has, it's not a media point of view, it's actually a person who's there. That is really fascinating. And I think that's all I can think about, all I can think of right now. But I would appreciate if you would respond, because like I said, it's really interesting. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the video.